How you doing, guys? It's Aaron Bowman here. So I thought I would do this report. Um, what I'm going to talk to you about tonight is the Canadian Affairs is just releasing from the news the Canadian Auditor General's report on the readiness and aspect of the Canadian Armed Forces within recruiting and retention of new and current members, and among the readiness of our forces on aspects of things. I'm going to go through it. I think it's interesting. It's like the new. It's all the new reports that have been come out with even with the tweaking of the recruitment and the shifting in recruitment drives. Okay, in the recruitment planning and operations. It's a 3-minute read, and really, I'm just going to summarize what's has been going on, what the numbers are, because the numbers are concerning. And I mean, we can do better, absolutely. Are we going to do better? Yes. I think it's about getting the right people in, getting middle management, meaning warrant officers and lieutenants and the people that have been in for numerous years, the trainees, the trainers, which are the technicians, your course officers, the men and women who train your infantry or your armored or your artillery courses, right? We need to retain these guys, and it's all about this kind of stuff. So, starting out, the Canadian Armed Forces has failed to recruit and train enough personnel to meet its operational requirements. A new report from the Auditor General says, okay? So this is coming from the Auditor General of Canada, coming from Parliament and coming from the Canadian government. Between April 2022 and March 2025, the forces received roughly 192,000 applications to serve, but just 1 in 13 applicants made it through the recruitment pipeline. More than half of these who applied either stopped responding to CAF recruiters or voluntarily withdrew their applications within 60 days. So that's over 58,000 of them or more. Actually, it's more like 100,000 rather. During that 3-year interval, the CAF planned to recruit nearly 20,000 new recruits, but ended up recruiting about 15,000. That doesn't seem overall that bad, but we're still short thousands of troops. The numbers reflect the force's ongoing struggle to recruit talent, which has real implications for the force's ability to function, and that's absolutely true. I mean, so it's not just about getting new equipment. It is, but that's only half of it. The Defense Investment Agency is something new, right, that is investing in trying to make sure that we get new equipment, such as getting new fighter jets. We're getting the 16 of the F-35As, and then we might be getting the JAS-39s for the other 72. They're still waiting, flip-flopping back and forth and make a friggin' decision, right? And then we're getting the new the Type 26 off-the-shelf British-designed frigates. First one being completely built and supposed to be 2032. Here's hoping. And then we're supposed to be getting possibly, some new submarines, maybe the K3 project under South Korea and other countries. Other things like that. We're getting the new AOR supply ships, the new protectors, which has just been launched and it's out. So there's definitely lots of things that need to be replaced, and also reportedly getting the what is it? Oh yes, the P8A Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft. Okay, these are going to be replacing the older CP-140 Auroras, which are their Canadian that's the Canadian version of the P-3C Orion maritime patrol aircraft. So, okay, that's equipment. That's good. We all know it takes too freaking long for the Canadian military to procure new equipment. That's only one problem that we're having here. And the Liberals usually it's better under the conservatives. Yes, I'm biased. Yes, I'm conservative, but it's also a problem under any government. But it's certainly a problem now with the 10 years of the Trudeau government and 10 years of problems among our military, retaining officers, retaining recruits. So I'm going to go through this step by step because it's an integrated report. The continuing gaps in Canadian Forces personnel could affect its abilities to respond to threats, emergencies, or conflicts and to accomplish their missions. And that says Auditor General Karen Hogan's report published on October 21st, a couple days ago. So what is more is the CAF is unsure why so many people are backing out of the recruitment process after initially expressing an interest. I've heard a lot of these things, and I think it's just because the wait times are too long, and even when they get in, do they have enough of the equipment to train them in the trades that they want to go into? That's another problem. So the Canadian Armed Forces did not always know why applicants abandoned their applications during their recruitment process, the report says. Now, you can see here, 2022, 43,000, almost 44,000. 2023, 70,616. 2024, 77,431. These are the applications, right? Numbers of applications. Total applicants, 191,981. And the visible, so the visible aspects of this, 73,196. And so that's the visible applications. Applications driven file closures, 103,684, 54%. Recruiter driven file closures, for example, did not meet criteria, were 8%, 15,101. Okay, so those are the applications and the ones that closures. So the visible, the ones that got in or in the process. So, and then there's the 15,000 that didn't meet the criteria for other reasons, asthma, different things, whatnot, mental health issues, which is also, I'm an autistic person, so I think that, autistic people need to be able to serve. I think and that's slowly changing. But again, the recruited number in those 3 years is 14,946. Now, in the process, stuck in the process are 58,000. 80% are stuck in the process. And then that's just at that given time. That doesn't say this year's, but a lot of those people will drop out because they've been waiting too long and they're just like, nah, I'm no longer interested, or nah, I thought about it, but now I changed my mind. It's like taking too long. It's just stuff like that, right? That's a problem. Now, the Auditor General's report had also stated that it was the recruitment was ineffective and disjointed, meaning one hand doesn't know what the other's doing sometimes, or one hand can't, there's one program is not interactive enough in joined with the other. So, meaning the Auditor General's investigation found that the Canadian Armed Forces recruitment and training systems remain mired in inefficiency and poor governance. So they're not being governed right. The oversight is not consistent. So we found ineffective decision making for recruitment and training. That's not good, says the report. Committees and groups managing recruitment and training activities lacked authority and clear accountability, leading to disjointed ownership of the recruitment and recruiting process. So I'm trying to figure that out. That's and clear accountability, leading to disjointed ownership and recruiting process. Interesting. I'm going through this and I'm thinking like, whoa, okay. disjoint ownership. So one program or one recruitment center might not connect with another, or is it just it's managing the recruitment? So when they're passed over, we don't know. Some of them maybe don't have their correct files, or it's like I don't know. There's problems there because there's not enough people reviewing. There's not enough people processing, and there's not enough people. Not enough recruitment officers to recruit and maintain what is the status quo. That's a problem. The report found that that IT systems alone meant to support recruitment and training were not linked, forcing staff to manually input data and slowing down the application processing. So they have to manually put in all of their CAF recruitment papers, and that's another long, arduous process that is not. It should be. Well, I should say. How would I put it? Integrated, so that they can. It should be integrated with automatic systems, and more linked to the servers, to the main servers that are designed for this. I mean, there's a lot of things in this. So they have to manually put it in, which takes a lot longer time. I mean, it should be processed with computers that make it speed up the process. The report also found that while the CAF increased its diversity in some areas, which is not bad, that's good, but there's too much overemphasis on diversity. It can be a bad thing too, and that's a problem that they're dealing with now as well. So recruiting more Indigenous and visible minority members, which is good. The proportion of women in uniform remain below the Canadian Armed Forces target of 25%. So they wanted 25% women. It's below that. That proportion may be 20%, maybe it's 19%, maybe it's 18%. I don't know. But that's another. So beyond the weak recruitment stuff, the report highlights a deeper crisis. The CAF is losing trained members faster than it can replace them. Okay, so explaining this, members that have been in, that are trained, that have been members that have been deployed, that have been overseas, that know their combat trade very well and are teaching it. Those members are getting out for one reason or another. They're getting out, or some more of them are getting out than staying in. So they're losing more of these members, like these warrant officers, second lieutenants, or even just the sergeants, and they're losing more of these members, and it's not good because they have less people that are qualified to do the course training for the new recruits, which means that the new recruits have to wait longer to do their trade, where they want to go, what they want to do in the Canadian Forces. So it takes long enough to get in the Canadian Forces, do your basic. After your basic, you do your DP1, and then you do your courses, which could be anything. Medic, it could be engineers, infantry, your trades, either your combat trades or your other trades. Because there's not enough people retaining to be able to train these courses, and these officers, they are. What happens is, new recruits have to wait longer to get these courses done, and to get the proper trade, to get into the proper trade that they want to, and that's a problem. Again, this has been a problem for 3 years in some, right? So it's been a problem for numerous years, but it's definitely more of an acute problem continuously right now. Well, recruitment improved over the audit period. The Canadian Armed Forces did not bring in enough recruits to replace the people who left. So that's a real problem. The report warns that attrition under recruitment has created chronic staffing gaps across key occupations. And so that's units, there are some reserve units that, maybe have reserve units alone, maybe half the complement of people that they should have, or there are just, there are staffing gaps that were for processing new recruits, the staffing gaps alone. And that's staffing, including, training officers and whatnot. The report warned that attrition and low recruitment has created chronic staffing gaps across key occupations, including pilots, ammunition technicians, and these are just examples, threatening long-term operational readiness. So if we don't have enough people trained up and ready to go, we can't send them. The less people that we have trained, the less people that we can send over to a deployment, such as in Latvia, such as in numerous other operations. If there's a war in Europe or not, or in else places, if they need people to go in, they need to have the troops, the soldiers, sailors, and airmen to be able to go over. And so that's a problem. So you can take a look at from 2022 to 2023, 2024, the application to recruited ratio. 2022, 1 in 8, actual 1 in 11, 2023, 1 in 8, 1 in 16. So the applicants, and then the actual recruited is 1. The target is 1 in 12, and the target was we have a target, right? But it's actually this target is way off, and then way off again. They want to get a lot more in than are getting in, but they're not. You can see here in the average of recruitments, it's 1 in 13 in getting in and getting squared away. So the CAS training system is also failing to keep pace with the demand of applicants who do make it through the military selection screening. It's like I was just explaining. So the Canadian Forces Leadership and Recruit School, responsible for basic military training, was operating at just 80% capacity as of March 2025 due to instructor shortages and heavy workloads. 80%. So there's a 20% that are not getting through there, and that's a backlog that just compiles and compiles, right? And they're responsible for basic military training, which is very serious if you consider, troops that we need to get in. They found that as of March 31st, 2024, there was not enough equipment to carry out operational training. So there's not enough equipment to carry out training operations. That's a problem across the Canadian military. Right now, you can bet that new recruits that have just been trained in tanks and armored, right? They go down to Gagetown or wherever to do their armored training, and they can do it in the simulator. They can do a bunch of stuff in the electronic simulators, which is awesome in some ways. But then they realize, oh shoot, so we don't have any tanks in Canada right now because they're in Latvia. The ones we do have here training are in need of major repairs. We have 75 tanks in total, but only a certain amount of them are fully operational right now. Other ones need to be repaired, other ones need to be upgraded, and they're, so those are problems that we do have in retention and the new training of members. And that goes also for artillery, that goes for our, different, so for infantry fighting vehicles, and it's really, so it's a process that we need new equipment, and we need it coming down at a faster pace. We know that, but yeah. In response to persistent training delays and high dropout rates, the CAF introduced several changes during the audit period. The Canadian Forces Aptitude Test, which assessed job applicants' verbal, spatial, and problem-solving skills, was eliminated. A new scored employment application form was introduced as an alternative screening tool that focuses on applicants' education and work experience. That doesn't necessarily tell the Canadian military if these certain people are equipped, that are capable of doing this certain job. I agree that it needed to be, there's certain workarounds for certain things, yes. There's certain making it easier for, I can understand, to get more in, yes. And in some ways it's good, in some ways it's bad, because if you have applicants that are passed through but cannot actually do the trade job that they're in, that's a problem. So I mean, again, there has to be a delicate balance there. Okay, so and I agree. You know, there's the lowering of certain standards for some of us, like me and others on the autism spectrum. We have incredible skills if we're just given the chance, right? So medical standards were also updated to align eligibility requirements for new recruits with those already serving. But the fitness standards are another thing, raising concerns. In 2019, 72% of CAF personnel were either overweight or obese. That's coming from reported just out in August, and that was in 2019. That is still probably to this day or similar. That's a real problem. The fitness standards need to be aligned with what the jobs are that they're able to do, what they're supposed to be able to do. The Armed Forces readiness level right now is amongst the lowest it's been in probably 50 years, and that's coming from Lieutenant General retired Andrew Leslie. And he told Canadian Affairs at that time, in at least 2019. So, and if your people aren't fit to go, then they're not much use to you. That's the thing. If they're not fit to go and deploy, they're not much use to you, and that's a problem. Said Leslie, who commanded the Canadian Army from 2006 to 2010 at the height of the war in Afghanistan. Okay, so he knows what he's talking about for sure. In the Auditor General's report, she stated that said it was too soon to measure whether the Canadian Armed Forces reforms have improved recruitment outcomes. So we have to wait and see. Again, it's a long life. The recruitment shortfall adds to growing uncertainty about the military's ability to meet its commitments abroad. The CAF is currently deployed in operations in Latvia under Operation Reassurance, trains Ukrainian troops under Operation Unifier, and has expanded its presence in the Pacific region with Operation Horizon and Neon. Now, defense analysts have warned that without personnel growth, Canada's ability to sustain these missions or contribute to new ones will erode. NATO allies want Canada to take on more responsibilities in ensuring global security, but Ottawa is currently limited in what it can do abroad, and that's very true. If we're only at 58% readiness, which has been said a couple years, at least a year ago, that's not good. And that's coming from geopolitical analyst Jonathan Berkshire Miller, who told Canadian Affairs in July. He thinks that the challenge is purely resource-wise, and we have to be resourceful, but we have to be able to be careful about where we're deployed. I mean, be careful about how much we deploy where, right? So, anyway, yeah. Until we start ramping up more recruitment to really make Canada's contributions much bigger, it will be challenging. It will be challenging if we don't start putting the right resources in and making sure that these aspects come to fruition. And that's the Auditor General's report for the Canadian Armed Forces, just released on October 21st, 2025. So it's alarming, yes. Can it be changed? Yes. Must it be changed? Yes. Again, so these are some of the updates. I want to do an overview of the Auditor General's report. All right. Aaron Boma, military historian, military specialist for Carleton County, owner-operator of Balma Woodworks and the Carleton County Military Museum, and also a neighborhood watch out in Jacksontown. Thanks.